Some secrets are buried so deep, you think they'll never surface. But time has a way of washing everything back to shore. Zarabelle Simmons thought she knew heartbreak. She thought she understood betrayal. But nothing could have prepared her for what she would discover on a white sand beach in Montego Bay, Jamaica, 11 years after she buried an empty casket. Her husband's name was carved in marble. His picture sat on her nightstand for over a decade. She wore black every year on the anniversary of his death. She cried real tears at his memorial service. But Kendrick Ace Simmons wasn't dead. He was living a new life 3,000 miles away from the lie he left behind. Welcome to True Crime Journal, where we uncover the darkest secrets hidden behind perfect facades. Today's story will shock you to your core. If you're ready for a tale of love, lies, and ultimate betrayal, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Now, let's dive into this incredible true story. Zarabelle and Ace Simmons had what everyone called a fairy tale marriage. High school sweethearts from Atlanta's South Side. She was the preacher's daughter with honey-colored skin and Sunday school manners. He was the star quarterback with a $1 million smile and a work ethic that impressed everyone. They married young, 22 and 24, in a ceremony that made the society pages. Ace worked construction during the week and coached Little League on weekends. Zarabelle taught 3rd grade. From the outside, they had everything. A brick house with a white picket fence in College Park. 2 cars in the driveway. Sunday dinners with both families. Church every week, front pew, holding hands during prayer. But houses with perfect lawns sometimes hide the deepest secrets. Ace had a best friend named Titus Earl T. Robinson. They'd known each other since they were 12 years old, inseparable like brothers. T. was the best man at their wedding and worked as a freelance photographer. What nobody knew, not even Zarabelle, was that Ace and T had been hiding their true feelings for each other since high school. In their conservative community, their love wasn't just forbidden, it was considered an abomination. Ace carried this secret like a weight on his chest. Every family dinner where his father talked about grandchildren. Every Sunday where the preacher spoke about traditional marriage. Every night when Zarabelle curled up against him, trusting and loving, while his heart belonged to someone else. The guilt was eating him alive. By their 7th year of marriage, Ace was having panic attacks. He would wake up in cold sweats, finding excuses to work late just so he wouldn't have to come home and pretend to be someone he wasn't. T watched his best friend disappearing piece by piece. It was June 2012 when everything came to a head. After a particularly emotional church service about the sanctity of marriage, Ace called T. "I can't do this anymore," he whispered into the phone. "I'm dying, T. Every day I stay here, I'm dying a little more." T had been waiting for this call. He'd already started making preparations, researching places they could go, saving money from his photography work. "What if we could just start over?" T said. "What if we could go somewhere where nobody knows us?" The plan they came up with was desperate and cruel. They would stage their deaths in a boating accident. On a humid Saturday morning, Ace kissed Zarabelle goodbye and told her he and T were going deep-sea fishing off the coast of South Carolina. "Y'all be careful out there," Zarabelle said, adjusting Ace's fishing hat. "Don't let T talk you into staying out too late." Ace hugged her tight, tighter than usual, longer than usual. "I love you, Belle. Always remember that." She thought it was sweet. Later, she would realize it was goodbye. They never came back. The Coast Guard found their boat 3 days later, capsized 20 miles offshore. Life jackets were missing. Fishing gear scattered across the deck. No bodies. The official report said they were caught in a sudden storm, probably thrown overboard, swept away by the current. What really happened was more calculated. They had sailed the boat out to a predetermined location, then been picked up by one of T's photography contacts, a charter boat captain who asked no questions and accepted cash payments. The boat was sabotaged to look like an accident. By the time the Coast Guard found it, Ace and T were already on a plane to Kingston, Jamaica, with new identities waiting for them. Zarabelle fell apart. She couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, couldn't understand how the 2 strongest swimmers she knew could just disappear into the Atlantic Ocean. The funeral was held 2 weeks later. 2 caskets, both empty. The church was packed. Ace's mother collapsed at the altar. Zarabelle wore black and sat in the front row, staring at Ace's picture on the altar. She never remarried, never even dated. For 11 years, she kept their house exactly the way it was. His clothes still hung in the closet. His cologne still sat on the bathroom counter. She visited his grave every month, talking to the headstone like he could hear her. Meanwhile, 3,000 miles away, Kendrick Simmons had become Marcus Thompson, and Titus Earl Robinson had become David Clark. They lived in a modest beach house in Montego Bay, making a living through TE's expanded photography business, wedding and vacation photography for tourists. For the first time in their lives, they could hold hands in public. They could kiss goodnight without looking over their shoulders. They could wake up together without fear or shame. But freedom came with a price. Ace struggled with depression and guilt about what they'd done to their families. The weight of their deception grew heavier every year. By 2023, Zarabel was 39 and tired of being the widow everyone pitied. Her sister had been begging her to take a vacation. "Girl, you need some sun, some sand, and some rum punch," her sister said. "When's the last time you did something just for you?" Zarabel couldn't remember. So she booked a trip to Jamaica. 7 days at a resort in Montego Bay. On the third day, she decided to take a walk on the beach at sunset. She wore a simple sundress, her hair loose in the ocean breeze. For the first time in years, she felt something like peace. That's when she saw them. 2 men walking hand in hand about 50 yards ahead of her. Something about the way they moved made her heart skip. As they got closer, she could see their faces more clearly. Zarabel's knees gave out. She collapsed right there in the sand, shaking, not believing what her eyes were telling her. It was Ace, her dead husband, walking hand in hand with T, his dead best friend, kissing each other like lovers. The pieces fell into place with sickening clarity. All the time she'd felt like a third wheel in her own marriage. All the looks that passed between them. All the inside jokes and moments when she felt completely outside their world. Zarabel followed them back to their beach house. She sat in the sand for hours, watching them through the windows. They were living together like a married couple, comfortable in their routine, comfortable in their skin. The next morning, she went shopping in the local market. Her hand shook as she bought a small kitchen knife, sharp enough to cut, small enough to conceal. She wasn't thinking clearly. She was operating on pure emotion, 11 years of grief and rage and betrayal. That evening, she walked to their beach house. The door was unlocked. She could hear them laughing inside, the sound of glasses clinking. She walked in without knocking. They were in the kitchen, preparing dinner together. Ace was chopping vegetables while T stirred something on the stove. They looked older, happier, more relaxed than she'd ever seen them. "Hello, Kendrick," Zarabel said, her voice deadly calm. "Hello, Titus Earl." Both men froze. The knife Ace was holding clattered to the floor. For a moment, nobody moved. Nobody spoke. 11 years, she continued, stepping into the kitchen. 11 years I've been visiting your graves. 11 years I've been wearing your wedding ring. Belle, Ace finally found his voice. "I can explain." "Explain what?" she screamed. "Explain how you let me bury empty caskets? Explain how you've been playing house while I've been dying inside." She pulled the knife from her purse, her hand shaking with rage. "You destroyed my life. Both of you. You made me a widow at 28. What happened next was pure instinct. 11 years of grief and betrayal erupted in a moment of blind fury." Zarabel lunged forward with the knife, aiming for Ace's chest. Time slowed down. She saw the fear in his eyes, the way T reached out to try to stop her. The knife connected, not with Ace's chest, but with his abdomen as he twisted away. The 6-inch blade penetrated deep, puncturing his small intestine. He cried out, blood spreading across his white shirt. "Belle, stop." T grabbed her wrist, wrestling the knife away. But the damage was done. Ace collapsed to the floor, clutching his stomach, blood pooling beneath him. Zarabel stood over him, the bloody knife in her hand. 11 years of rage finally released. "You destroyed my life," she screamed. "You let me grieve for ghosts." T called for an ambulance while applying pressure to the wound. Zarabel dropped the knife and sat on the kitchen floor, finally understanding what she had done. Within minutes, Royal Jamaica Constabulary officers arrived at the scene. They found Ace bleeding profusely on the kitchen floor, T trying to stop the bleeding, and Zarabel sitting motionless beside the bloody knife. Detective Inspector Marcus Campbell took charge of the scene. The evidence was overwhelming. Zarabel's fingerprints on the weapon, blood spatter on her clothing, and multiple witnesses who saw her purchase the knife at the market earlier that day. Ace was rushed to Cornwall Regional Hospital in Montego Bay. The knife had caused severe internal bleeding and punctured his small intestine in 2 places. He required immediate emergency surgery and remained in critical condition for 3 days. Zarabel was arrested on the scene and charged with attempted murder under Section 4 of Jamaica's Offenses Against the Person Act. The charge carried a potential sentence of life imprisonment. Zarabel spent 6 weeks in the South Camp Road Correctional Center in Kingston, one of Jamaica's most notorious prisons. The conditions were harsh: overcrowded cells, limited water, and constant noise. Her cellmates included women charged with everything from drug trafficking to murder. Many have been waiting months or even years for their trials. During those weeks, the full weight of what she'd done began to sink in. The rage that had sustained her through the attack was gone, replaced by a crushing realization that she had become the very thing she'd never imagined: a violent criminal. Her family back in Atlanta scrambled to hire legal representation. Jamaican attorney Patricia Williams, who specialized in defending foreign nationals, took the case. Prosecutor David Morrison argued for the maximum sentence. This was premeditated assault, he told the court. Mrs. Washington purchased a weapon, tracked down the victims, and attacked with intent to kill. The emotional circumstances do not excuse attempted murder. The defense strategy centered on extreme emotional disturbance and temporary insanity. Williams brought in psychiatric experts who testified that discovering your supposedly dead spouse alive and living with another person could cause severe psychological trauma. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, a forensic psychiatrist, testified that Zarabel was suffering from acute stress reaction and adjustment disorder with mixed anxiety and depressed mood at the time of the attack. The shock of seeing her deceased husband alive, combined with 11 years of unresolved grief, created a perfect storm of psychological distress, Dr. Mitchell explained to the court. When Ace finally recovered enough to testify, his words surprised everyone in the courtroom. "I don't want her to go to prison," he said, his voice weak but clear. "What T and I did was cruel. We destroyed her life to save our own. I understand her anger. I understand why she wanted to hurt me." The prosecutor pressed him. "Mr. Simmons, are you saying you deserve to be stabbed?" "I'm saying I understand why it happened. We let her bury empty caskets. We let her waste 11 years grieving for men who were alive and happy. That kind of betrayal, it breaks something inside a person." T also testified in Zarabel's favor, though he admitted to being terrified during the attack. "She could have killed me too," he said. But all her anger was focused on Ace. "I think part of her still loved him, even while she was stabbing him." While Zarabel's assault case proceeded, Jamaican authorities launched a separate investigation into Ace and T's fraudulent identities. Immigration officers discovered that Marcus Thompson and David Clark had been living in Jamaica on forged documents for over a decade. They had obtained fake birth certificates, driver's licenses, and work permits. Detective Inspector Campbell revealed that the investigation had uncovered a network of document forgers operating between the United States and Jamaica. This case has opened up a much larger investigation into identity fraud in the Caribbean, Campbell told reporters. After 3 months of legal proceedings, both sides agreed to a plea bargain. Zarabel pled guilty to assault causing grievous bodily harm, a reduced charge from attempted murder. In exchange, she received a sentence of 2 years imprisonment, with all but 6 months suspended. The judge, Justice Patricia Duncan, explained her reasoning. While the court cannot excuse violent behavior, the exceptional circumstances of this case warrant consideration. Mrs. Washington was the victim of an elaborate deception that caused her tremendous psychological harm. Zarabel was credited for time served and released immediately, with conditions that she return to the United States within 48 hours and complete mandatory psychological counseling. Ace and T were sentenced separately for their fraud charges. Each received 2 years imprisonment for document fraud and were ordered to pay substantial fines to the Jamaican government. After serving their sentences, they were deported to the United States, where they faced additional federal charges for identity fraud and filing false death certificates. The U.S. Attorney's Office in Atlanta filed charges under the False Statements Act and fraud statutes. Both men eventually pled guilty and received sentences of 5 years federal prison time. Some secrets stay buried forever. Others wash up on foreign shores when you least expect them. Zarabel learned that love isn't always what it seems. That sometimes the people who hurt us most are the ones who never meant to hurt us at all. That's today's story from True Crime Journal. A tale of deception, betrayal, and ultimately, survival. If this story shocked you, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible true crime stories. Ring the notification bell so you never miss an episode. What do you think? Was Zarabel justified in her actions? Could you forgive such a massive betrayal? Let me know in the comments below. Until next time, remember, the truth always finds a way to surface, no matter how deep you try to bury it. Thanks for watching True Crime Journal.